So I want to talk about Jamie Carragher, and I want to talk about the disrespect that he leveled towards AFCON yesterday. Because for me, it's a disrespect that can only stem from ignorance, or racial prejudice. Because without any research, for you to have that mindset that like the African Cup of Nations isn't worthy to be considered a big tournament, there has to be a reason behind it. And without research, it can only be because you don't recognize Africa as a country worthy of like being respected in football spaces. And I say that because Jamie Carragher, the point that you made here was that Mo Salah has not been to a major competition. Now, because he's not been to a major competition he can't win the Ballon d'Or, or he can't be recognised by his peers. Ignoring the fact that AFCON is a major competition, Michael Richards said to you it is a major competition, and your response to that was, even if it's a major competition, are Egypt going to win the World Cup? To basically say that the only pipeline that you can get as an African is winning the World Cup. That's the only way you can be recognised. And that, first and foremost, is factually incorrect. And you should know that because of the experience that you have here, but you don't, which either tells me that you've done no research here, or you just don't care about it enough to educate yourself. And I'll give you an example, right? Sadio Mane in 2021 won the African Cup of Nations. And after winning the African Cup of Nations, Sadio Mane went back to Liverpool, and alongside Mo Salah, who he beat in the AFCON, they won the FA Cup, Carabao Cup. They finished second in the Premier League, and they finished runners-up in the Champions League. The following year, Sadio Mane was recognised as the second best player in the world, and he finished second in Ballon d'Or. Mo Salah, incidentally, finished fourth or fifth, which tells you that if you are successful on the international stage, and you are successful, or you're successful on the domestic European stage, you will be recognised amongst your peers. If Sadio Mane had won the Champions League that year, there would have been a strong argument for him to win the Ballon d'Or. If you are actually in football spaces, and you're not a Neanderthal who just thinks about football from 20, 30 years ago and expects football to still be the same now, you will recognise that Sadio Mane was spoken about as a potential Ballon d'Or candidate. And this has nothing to do with the fact that him playing for Liverpool, but more so to do with the fact that Liverpool were on course for the quadruple, and he won the AFCON. So there is a pipeline, a direct correlation between doing well for your country, doing well for your club on the European stage, and doing well as an individual. Mohamed Salah, the reason he's not been recognised by his peers yet is because for his country, he has not done well enough. In the 3 AFCONs that he's been to, he's been runner-up once, he's been out in the round of 16 twice. Once, even on home soil. For Liverpool, Mo Salah has not been the best player in either year that a Liverpool player was recognised in the Ballon d'Or. In 2019, when Liverpool won the Champions League, the second best player in the world that year was Virgil van Dijk. Virgil van Dijk was 9 votes off Lionel Messi or so. This is someone who was argued by even his manager, he should have been the Ballon d'Or. There are many arguments to be had that Virgil van Dijk could have been the Ballon d'Or. Mo Salah finished that year in the top 5. Again, he hasn't done enough yet to ever be recognised on the international stage and domestically as a Ballon d'Or candidate. This season, he's on a ridiculous trajectory. And if he does end up winning the Ballon d'Or, it's because of what he does for Liverpool domestically and what Liverpool achieve in the Champions League if they go far. So there is a pipeline. So for you to say that Egypt not winning the World Cup here is a reason why Mo Salah isn't a Ballon d'Or candidate here, for me, it's just disrespectful. Because you've completely discarded the fact that if you can have success here at Ballon d'Or level, if you have success at international level in Africa. Secondly, let's talk about the African Cup of Nations in isolation. Of the 10 most watched sports here in football, of the 10 most watched sports in the world in 2024, football had 4 in the top 10. The Euros, Copa America, the Champions League, and the AFCON. African Cup of Nations was the second of all 4 football tournaments most watched in the world. It was covered by 1.5 billion streams, viewers, and networks all over the world. For context, the Paris Olympics had 3 billion, and the European Championships had 5 billion. The African Cup of Nations, like I said, had 1.5 billion views, streams, and coverage across the world. This is a tournament that has been respected around the world. If you take the players in isolation who have played in the Premier League and who continue to make the Premier League product one of the best in the world, the Premier League has so many players who have come from Africa and played in the Premier League, increased the Premier League's market value, and gone on to do good things for their country. The Premier League are very, very happy. Jamie Carragher, I'm sure you are too, very happy for African players to come into the Premier League and to leave their mark on the Premier League. But the minute they want to go represent their country, their pride and joy, where a place that they left here and the place that they are celebrated far more than they are celebrated in this country, you turn your nose up at it as if the African Cup of Nations is some tin pot tournament that is an inconvenience. 20, 30 years ago, the African Cup of Nations was disrespected and criticised because of poor infrastructure, poor refereeing, the pitches were not great, the quality on show wasn't great. Football has evolved, Jamie Carragher, to a place where now, some of the best players in the world, are African. Some of the most recognised players in the world are African. And they compete at the African Cup of Nations every time it comes around. And the disrespect that you showed the African Cup of Nations goes deeper than what you think it does. Because there are players in the Premier League now who you will speak about on Monday Night Football or speak about on CBS or speak about on Super Sunday. Like the Alex Iwobis, like the Ola Eno, like the Mohamed Kuduses, like the Antoine Semenyo's. And these are players who play Premier League football at the highest level. And they go off to represent their country. And they've had to listen to you almost laugh and dismiss African football as if it is just some sort of bit part tournament that shouldn't even be taking place or shouldn't even be given the respect that it deserves. And people like you, honestly, Jamie Carragher, you make me sick. Like, genuinely, you are part of the problem in football because your prehistoric Neanderthal dinosaur mindset of football is exactly what continues to be wrong with football today. Like, the fact that you can give these players their praise. You can praise players like Riyad Mahrez. You can praise players like Didier Drogba, Yaya Toure, Sadio Mane when he was at Liverpool. And you can give them their flowers when they were in the Premier League. But to disrespect the tournament that they represent their country in tells me everything that I need to know about who you are. Because you have no idea what it's like to be African. You are a white British man with white British privilege. You've never ever taken any time out of your day to go and have a conversation about what football means in Africa, what football means to Africans in the diaspora, what football means in Africans around the world, and what football means to the players who in the Premier League who represent their country in Africa. For you to be so dismissive to look at the camera like you're filming an episode of The Office and be like, what are these men talking about when your fellow colleagues are telling you it's a big tournament? Honestly, shame on you, man. Like, you're actually a disgrace. Like, and what you don't understand is, people recognize you for who you are and what you are. Because for you to be so brazen, to be so dismissive, of a competition, that is highly regarded around the world, it shows that you don't care. It shows that you are so unintelligent, and so unknowing, about African football, because you've taken no time of your own, to do any research into this. And you're just disrespectful for the sake of being disrespectful. And honestly, for that in itself, shame on you, man. I want to say a big credit to Michael Richards and a big credit to Daniel Sturridge, because they called it out for what it was yesterday, which was disrespectful. AFCON is a big competition. And that's the fact that you don't recognise it to be one, it shows everything that's wrong with you and nothing to do with AFCON in itself, innit? So, to Sky, you people that continue to allow these dinosaurs to have these prehistoric views on black footballers, black players, black competition, shame on you as well. Because these people continue to ruin your brand. And these people will continue to do this bullshit until it's called out. But what we're not going to do anymore is allow it to happen on a day-to-day basis, innit? Jamie Carragher, you should be ashamed of yourself. Honestly, I don't know what you think you're doing making jokes about AFCON as if it's some sort of dickhead tournament, bro. The only person that's the dickhead is you. And you need to understand that.